Good morning. It is 10:02 and this meeting of the Agricultural Labor Relations Board is called to order. I will call the roll. Board Member Broad.
Present.
Board Member Flores.
Present.
Board Member Hall. Okay, I believe he's trying to join. Board Member Lightstone.
Present.
Okay, also present today is our special assistant Satya, who is helping provide technical support. Thank you, Satya. So a couple different items today. So first, pursuant to Government Code Section 1123.2J, Member Lightstone has requested to participate remotely based on temporary medical necessity. Member Lightstone can participate remotely upon a vote of the majority of the board. Can I have a motion to permit Member Lightstone to participate remotely on this basis for purposes of establishing a quorum?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All right. And we'll do a vote. I support this motion. Member Broad, and then Member Flores.
Aye.
Member Flores, aye. All right.
Thank
Board
you.
Member Lightstone, you're officially in.
Thank
And you
you.
may participate
I
now.
very much appreciate it.
And we have a quorum. Next, the board received a request for mandatory mediation and conciliation, otherwise known as MMC, from the United Farm Workers with the employer Olive Hill Greenhouses. This request was received on Tuesday, November 12th, after the board's agenda was issued. Pursuant to Government Code Section 1125.3, Subdivision A2, the board may consider this item if conditions are met, including a vote of the board. An amended notice has issued and was published on the board's website last week upon receipt of the request. May I have a motion to approve allowing the board to deliberate on this item in closed session?
I'll move that we approve deliberation on this item.
All right. May I have a second?
Second.
All right. Member Lightstone, how do you
Aye.
vote?
Aye.
I also support adding this item. This item is now authorized. Okay. Now on to our next agenda item, which is approving the most recent meeting minutes from November 13th. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Member Broad. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Member Flores. Member Lightstone, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. I also vote to approve the minutes. The minutes are approved. Okay. Our next agenda item, excuse me. As part of the chair's report today, I would like to revisit the recent board action that was taken on October 30th, where the board approved a sublease from the community-based organization Cause for office space in Santa Maria. After the board's vote, during public comment and in subsequent communications, members of the agricultural industry expressed concerns to both myself and the rest of the board about our decision, specifically raising concerns about the perception that the board would not be objective and treat growers fairly in matters before us, and that it creates a perception of bias in favor of one stakeholder over others. My colleague, Member Flores, and I spoke to several of the growers about these concerns. As a public servant and as one in a quasi-judicial role, we have to take steps to ensure not only that we are in fact treating everyone fairly under the law, but that we ensure parties that appear before us believe we are being objective and feel they will have a fair hearing. The board is also charged with ensuring that we are accessible to farm workers. This is a workers' rights statute, and it's centered around them and being accessible to them, ensuring they know what their rights are and feel like they can exercise them. This sublease was chosen based on the desire to meet a critical need in an underserved area and in a location where farm workers felt safe, and it was a place where we knew they could access. That being said, I understand the concerns the members of the industries raise, and I take them seriously. I believe my colleagues do as well. At heart, I'm an institutionalist, and I know that one of the ways you build trust in institutions is by ensuring that everyone gets a fair hearing. Please note, Board Member Hall has joined. Thank you, Member Hall. And I appreciate how our decision harmed our ability to build trust with certain members of the public. Based on this, I'm recommending to the board that we seek alternative space in the Santa Maria area. I want to open this up now for any questions or comments from my colleagues first, and then we'll go to members of the public. Any questions? Okay, Satya, do we have anyone who has indicated they wish to make public comment? I should say that if you do wish to comment on this matter, you can use the raise hand feature in Zoom or write a note in the chat. Those notes in the chat are only seen by staff, so we ask that you not make substantive comment there, but just indicate you wish to speak.
I don't see anyone have raised their hand to make a public comment. Looks like Matthew Allen is trying to speak.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair and members of the board. I was trying to get my raised hand function to work, but it's not on my laptop this morning. I just wanted to thank the Chair and the board for the ability to make comment back on October 30th on this item. And for the reasons that the Chair stated, we definitely would be very supportive of the reconsideration of the lease with cause due to the public perception issue. So appreciate the ability to comment today.
Thank you. And I see Brian Little's hand up from Farm Bureau Federation.
Good morning, board members and Madam Chair and staff. Thank you for an opportunity to us offer a brief comment. We appreciate your sensitivity to our concerns and the appearances that that raised. I think it was a pretty obvious problem with respect to perceptions of some of your stakeholders. We appreciate you being responsive to that and hope that we can get to a resolution of this matter without similar issues. So thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to make comment?
We don't see anyone waiting to make a public comment.
Okay. All right. Given that, I want to reiterate my recommendation, which is that the board seek alternative space. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll make a motion
Okay.
to, that we seek alternative space.
Thank you, Member Brown. Member Flores, may I interpret that as a second?
Correct.
All right. Thank you. Board Member Hall, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Lightstone?
Aye.
Thank you. And I also move that we or agree we should seek alternative space. So thank you. The board will do that and we will keep the public updated on those efforts. I anticipate there will be that space will not be likely found until the new year, just given that we're right before Thanksgiving here. So thank you. The next item in the chair's report is I would like to announce that I am recommending and forming a subcommittee with Member Flores and myself to examine ways that we can help protect worker identity and confidentiality, particularly with respect to workers that may not have immigration status. This subcommittee will study administrative, regulatory, and legislative mechanisms to help ensure that workers can feel they can exercise their rights under the Act without fear of retaliation, while also examining our duty to balance our balancing our duty to transparency as a public agency and public information. So thank you, Member Flores, for agreeing to be part of this subcommittee, and we'll keep the board apprised of our efforts in that regard. Okay, our next agenda item is the executive officer's report. We do not have that today. There may be a written report available on the website. We had our executive officer wasn't able to be here today. Next is the litigation report. Scott, do we have any updates there?
Good morning, Chair, Hasid, and members of the board. Just one item for the litigation report today. In consolidated case numbers F088515 and F088520, Wonderful Nurseries LLC versus ALRB on November 14th, 2024. Wonderful filed a motion for calendar preference seeking expedited briefing and hearing. That's the only item today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have our general counsel's report with Julie Montgomery. Julie?
Good morning, members of the board and Chair Hasid. I have 2 settlements out of the regions that I'll report on and give you a couple of outreach highlights. The first settlement is out of our Region 2, which is based in Visalia area, and includes Santa Rosa and Indio. And in that matter, our staff reached a settlement with Farmy Inc. Pasta Farm LLC. And this is a cannabis operation in which a cannabis worker who was performing harvesting, trimming, and maintenance of cannabis plants in Sonoma County filed a charge with the ALRB on August 27th, 2024, claiming that the company interfered with workers' rights by threatening them with job loss if they complained about working conditions, and that the company retaliated against the charging party and others by issuing written warnings and treating them more harshly than others for complaining about mistreatment of workers, working in high heat, lack of breaks to drink water, and lack of access to shade and pressure to work faster. The parties reached a settlement with the ALRB on November 24th. I'm sorry, not November 24th, November 12th, in which the company will withdraw the written warning issued to the charging party, and the standard noticing remedies will apply, as well as supervisor training, which ALRB staff will conduct for the employer supervisors. So kudos to our Region 2 staff for resolving that case in less than 3 months after the charge filing. So that's really, really nice to see that we were able to get remedies for the affected workers very quickly in that matter. The second settlement is out of Region 1, and that includes Salinas and Oxnard offices. And that settlement involves J&G Berry Farms and Cal Giant Inc. And in that case, a strawberry harvester in Santa Barbara County, as well as the nonprofit organization MICOP, which is Mixteco Indigenous Community Organizing Project, filed unfair labor practices charges back in May and June of 2022, alleging that J&G Berry and Cal Giant surveilled and or created an impression of surveillance during a work stoppage, and that they intimidated strikers, threatened workers if they joined the strike, they would not be hired to work in another company in the Santa Maria area, and also interfered with the lawful protected strike by calling law enforcement officers to the site to where the strike was occurring to coerce, intimidate, and chill agricultural workers in the free exercise of their rights. So the ALRB found that these violations did occur, and general counsel, or I say the general counsel did, general counsel program. We filed a complaint against both J&G and Cal Giant, and that was, I believe, earlier this year. And the parties reached an informal settlement in which J&G and Cal Giant agreed to the standard noticing remedies and our other standard remedies. There were no lost wages in either of these cases, so that was for affirmative relief and noticing. So those are the 2 settlements. And outreach news, our staffs participate in various Dia de los Muertos events, health fairs. We've been conducting office hours in rural community areas such as Poder Popular in rural eastern Ventura County and Santa Paula. And also staff provided a Spanish radio interview with Triqui interpretation on a program La Hora Triqui hosted by Radio Bilingüe, which broadcasted to San Benito, Monterey, and Santa Cruz counties. And that was earlier this month, I think last week. We also had staff appear on a Spanish television interview with Telemundo Channel 15 in Riverside County, talking about the ALRB and the services we provide. There, we also conducted an interview on the radio station KBBF, a program called Líderes del Futuro that broadcast to around the Sonoma-Napa County area. And then finally, our staff provided a virtual training for all of EDD staff in the Northern Division Workforce Services branch based in Sacramento. So we trained all of their staff on what we do and how to make referrals and collaborate more effectively. So that concludes my report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I have a question. Julie, in the case that you settled with the two companies where the police were called, do we send any information to the police department about the resolution of cases like that so that they're aware of situations where they might be used, I guess, to intimidate workers when they're engaged in protected activity?
Jessica, do you want to address that question since it was your region?
Sure, thank you. Good question. We actually on site when law enforcement officers are called or arrive, our staff makes an effort to go over and introduce who we are, what our agency does, and talk to the law enforcement officials about workers' rights under the Act. So we do not normally, after a case has been resolved, seek to advise them that there was a resolution, but we definitely make sure that in person we can exchange information so they know who we are and what the tenets of the Act are.
Thank you, that's good to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any of my other colleagues have questions or comments? All right, thank you, Julie, appreciate it. We do not have an administrative services report today, but we have hired a new chief of administrative services who will be starting on December 2nd. And I anticipate will be introducing herself at our next board meeting, which is scheduled December 11th. Her name is Rasha Salama, and she was most recently the chief deputy at the Department of Cannabis Control. And we're excited to have her come on board. She brings a lot of experience. We do not have a legislative report, and I don't believe we have a regulations report, but we will on December 11th.
Yes.
Okay. And with that, we now have general public comment. As mentioned, we'll call first on people who indicated they wish to make public comment ahead of the meeting. If you didn't do that, that is okay. We welcome your comments. And please either use the raise hand feature or message in the chat. And as you can see, or just speak up and we should be able to get you in. Please note that we do have limited capabilities for managing participation. So we ask if you're not speaking to be on mute. And also note that the board is unable to adjudicate, comment, or resolve any pending on any pending case matter before the board. So I'll turn to Satya. Do we have anyone wishing to make public comment?
I don't see anyone indicating to make a public comment.
Okay, we'll give it one moment.
Let me check my email. I don't see anyone in the email.
Okay, all right. And with that, it is 10:21. The board will adjourn into closed session. Thank you.
Got it. Yes.
All right, good morning. It is now 10:42 a.m. and the board has returned from closed session. For announcements, the next board meeting is December 11th. That will be our last board meeting of the year, absent a need to have a meeting pending a case matter. And so with that, it is now still 10:42. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.